Let's get into today's episode of Why We Succeed. What is going on, you guys? Welcome to a new episode of Why We Succeed. I'm Immanuel, and today I'm joined by a very special guest, none other than Sabrina Kaufmann. What is going on, Sabrina?
Hello, thanks so much for having me here.
Oh man, it is such an honor to have you on the podcast today. I'm super excited to dive into your journey as an illustrator and a businesswoman. And the first thing that really caught my eye is that you started by publishing your book at 14, became a teacher at 16, and now today you have your business. You are doing so many amazing things. So how was that like, publishing your first manga book at 14?
Well, actually, it was kind of funny because when I was a child, I always wanted to write something like Harry Potter or be a best-selling author. Nice. And then I just discovered self-publishing, and it's really the thing. You go to Google, you type self-publish a book, and then you find lots of websites, and that's how it happened actually. So yeah, I just got a few copies which I distributed to my school, and there were some friends and teachers who started buying it, and it's how things started. So yeah, actually, when I think back, my art was crap. There are so many problems, and it makes me cringe right now. But I think that's just what allowed me to get started, to just do the thing and then see how people react, what you can improve. Because if you don't start, you'll never know when you're ready or what you can improve. So I think that's really something that helped me just, get out.
Yeah, and what you just said there is so important, is if you don't start, you may never, ever get out there. And
exactly.
I'm curious, you work with our artists, right? You're a teacher. You've been teaching, once again, since you've been 16. How many artists have you come across who have wanted to quit, who have looked at their art and been like, oh man, it's not good. You know, I shouldn't even be in this lane. Like, how often have you dealt with that?
Well, I think I'd say it probably happens to at least everyone, at least once in a lifetime, because especially now with social media, there's the whole thing that you often start comparing yourself, and then especially when we're starting out, I think that it's kind of difficult to have the right self-esteem. So actually, when I started out, I wasn't on social media, I was nowhere, and I just did what I like to do. So there I was really in the super high, like, wow, I'm so cool, I'm awesome, I'm doing such great things. And I think from the moment that I started publishing my books and teaching, and especially going to conventions to sell my work, I got to see other artists that were already in the industry, that were already much farther away, and I realized that, oh, well, I'm not as amazing as I thought. And I still have so much to learn. And I've also come across some artists who said that it was exactly the same when they got into art school. Like, first you start out in your bubble and you just do things because you like it. And then when you start to get a professional, then you slowly come to realize, well, the industry isn't all pink and marshmallows like you... Like you need to put in some work, and what worked before won't necessarily work right now, because things are kind of different. So.
And that brings to mind a question that I like to get your perspective on. When it comes to the ability to be artistic or to draw, do you feel like that's a skill that people learn, or do you feel like it's a talent that somebody is born with, or maybe is it a combination of both?
I'd say both, and I think that what's especially important is the work and motivation you will put in, because, well, I've been teaching for 11 years now, so I've come across lots of students, and they were indeed the ones who told me, well, I don't have the talent, so I'll never make it. And I think first, if you really get to know the basics like anatomy, colors, shadings, then that can already improve your work. And afterwards, I think it's everything, the passion you bring in. Like, for instance, if you are super motivated, then, for instance, you will draw like every day because you love it so much, then obviously you will improve much faster than someone who only does it like once a month. And I think well, those who will really afterwards make it are really those who put in the work and to keep on. And it doesn't matter if they are gifted or talented in the beginning. I think it really comes down afterwards to the work you're willing to put in.
Right. And that sounds like most things in life, right? Is like talent will only get you so far.
Yes.
And then after that, it's about the work that you put in on your own end.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's so important. And I'm curious, as you mentioned, you yourself, I'm sure, have faced it, and you've definitely come across students who face that desire to want to quit. In your own experience, what have you done to overcome those feelings when you've dealt with them?
Well, first thing is I've always loved drawing, and actually the thing that helped me most was just forget about everything else around me. Like I just go to my room and take a pen and just draw, and then forget about I need to monetize, I need to post on social media. I just do things because I like it. And I think that's really the most important part, to just stop with all that pressure that comes from outside, and especially that you impose on yourself, because that's really the worst.
Right. And I'm curious, what do you think are some of those internal pressures that most artists have the tendency to put on themselves?
It depends on the level you're at. For me, it was always money, because in Luxembourg, you're a country that's supposed to be rich, and where the standard of living is relatively high. Like minimum wage is 2,000 euros.
Wow.
Yeah, so that really started to put a pressure on me from early on. And I think when I started out, like there were lots of people who told me, well, art is not a real job. I hate this. It still comes back. And I know lots of other people who also get told, oh, you draw, is that a real job? Like, and especially like, I was told that art wasn't a real job. And then you go even further and people tell you, okay, well, art may be a real job, but manga, come on, here in Europe. And then you're like, so I think that's really the first hurdle that most of us will probably have, that we are often told that we need like to be secure, to have a secure paycheck. And lots of people have that image of the broke artist who barely scrapes by and who only gets famous after their death, or I don't know. So so I think that's really the first problem, where you might think, okay, it can be difficult. How can I overcome this? Can I even do it? Because I've realized that often we don't have the people around us that are already in the industry, and so they don't know how you can do things. And I think it's really like entrepreneurship. If you are surrounded by a family that's only used to being salaried, how do you say
right.
to work for a company, like, and then you say, I want to be freelance, or I want to be an artist. It's something that is so different from what they are used to, that people will often just put their beliefs into you and then tell you for your own security, like, no, you can't do it. And it's not necessarily because you can't do it, it's just because they're trying to protect you, like. And I think it's afterwards up to you to really, well, look within. I can do it. Those are the beliefs of other people. But if I really go into the industry and ask people who have already done it, who know how it can be done, then it will be much easier afterwards.
Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode of Why We Succeed. If you value relationships and believe they are the true key to success, be sure to subscribe. To watch this full discussion and gain access to exclusive content, join our Patreon today. The link is in the description. Thank you, and we'll catch you on the next episode.